people of the internet. Welcome to the special report, your news views program about geek gaming culture on the internet. Coming up in the show today, as Nexus Mods responds to the whole Spider-Man mod controversy that we talked about in the last special report, a bit of a rumor started to swirl around that perhaps the mod only activated code that was already present in the game for localization purposes, which may change a lot about what the focus of the story soon becomes. We're going to talk about the Nexus Mods blog post response and about this rumor full bore. This is the Geek Gaming Culture Channel. All this and the OCRemix Track of the day starts your way right now. So by now we all know about the Spider-Man PC mod, the Non-Newtonian New York mod of the Spider-Man remaster for PC, which removed all the pride flags with American flags. Now, I had mentioned this in the past special report concerning my feelings about whether or not this was the right move or not, and whether or not there was some other way that they could go about this. Well, there's a few issues since then that maybe there could be some deeper dives into this whole situation. First of all, Nexus Mods did respond with a blog post. Now, IGN and I think PC Gamer had both commented about this, and while they're taking quotes from the blog post, they're not linking directly to the blog post, just to the main site. Here is the actual blog post, and I'm going to read this to you ad verbatim, saying recently there has been some silly drama on our site that was sparked by someone uploading a mod for Spider-Man Remastered. The mods replaced the very few pride flags the game actually has. We do not know the exact number, though I'm getting told it might not be that many. Actually has with the already prevalent USA flag texture from the game. The mod was removed from Nexus Mods and the author was banned. I'll get to my feelings in a minute. To address the banning, which is what a lot of people want to focus on, the mod was uploaded by a sock puppet account, i.e. a newly made account by someone who already had an account on the site, and uploaded under the name Mike Hawk. It was very clearly done deliberately to be a troll mod. The fact the user needed to make a sock puppet like a coward to upload the mod showed their intent to troll and that they knew it would not be allowed. Had they not been a coward and had they used their main account instead, we would have simply removed the mod and told them that we did not want to host it, only banning them but they re-uploaded it again after being fairly warned. Creation of the sock puppet removed any doubt and made it a very easy decision for us. Both the sock puppet account and the user's main account have been banned. There is a little bit of question, however, when we go into the other half of this story, which is more what I'm focused on here. But let's continue with what they're saying. In regards to the replacement of pride flags in this game or any game, our policy is thus. We are for inclusivity, we are for diversity. If we think someone is uploading a mod on our site with the intent to deliberately be against inclusivity and or diversity, then we will take action against it. The same goes for people attempting to troll other users with mods deliberately to cause a rise. For our part, we will endeavor to do a better job of moderating our website to this ethos ourselves. We aren't the authority of what users can or cannot mod. Us removing a mod only means it cannot be found at Nexus Mods, nothing more, nothing less. We also note that we are not the only site that has removed this mod from their platform. That is true, ModsDB has also reportedly removed this mod from their platform. As a private business, we have the right to choose what content we do and do not want to host on our platform. Respect this right the same way you want respect for your rights. But remember, there's a second half to the story that may call this into question. If you feel something goes against our policy, then please report it. However, we will be the adjudicators on what we do or do not think is appropriate for Nexus Mods. And that goes for everyone no matter where they stand, left, right, up, or down. Up or down? Okay, that's a weird way to express that. I get what they're saying, but I get what they're saying. We don't want and won't argue this with you. We've now explained our stance and we won't be providing a platform for you to distort our position in order to feel an irrational and paranoid narrative. You can do that elsewhere where we won't care enough to read it. Oh boy, there's something I need to say about that. If this policy upsets you, if we've broken some moral code of conduct that is a business that you can't accept, then please delete your account, bottom option, and move on as we will. Okay, so first of all, let's get to this blog post. First of all, yes, we will say this in other forums because we have the power to do so. But you choosing to not read them or to view them is a little ignorant and arrogant on your part. Because, as we stated once before, there's a couple other reasons why someone would want to do this. Maybe it, in their mind, was too prevalent, was a little bit preachy. And again, if it was for a homophobic intention, then I would not want any part of it. However, the idea that someone would post this as a sock puppet account and be a quote-unquote coward, I need to talk about that. That's getting into the second half of this, which is more of a speculation, as I don't have right now the sufficient evidence to actually say it's true or not, but there is some speculation right now as to what exactly this mod actually changed. Hint, this might have more to do about Insomniac trying to hide something here. However, Nexus Mods, in my estimation, again, did the wrong thing here because it insinuates a particular gate that people would want to keep. Whereas if you are for the United States and the American flag, then you are against LGBTQ plus people and vice versa. That is not a message you need to be sending. And it's something that goes against unity and against people who want to go against the corporate establishment, the corporate elite, as you all know. But sometimes it is the media that's part of the corporate elite, and they enable and encourage this sort of behavior by not calling it out, by not really calling out what the real story should be. Now, my video was commented on by someone who had a lengthy post, and I'm not going to get into the long of it there. However, they did link me to a particular video which had the instructions on how to install this mod. Now, I'm not going to show you the post or the video because, again, I don't want my account getting in trouble. However, you can view that person's comment on the previous special report. They have a link there. I'm not going to single boost that link. The issue here with that particular video is that the comment section, he does respond to some of the comments, and it does seem as though that he is a hard read. You know, these type of people who you don't really know their true intentions, but it's kind of, are they or aren't they? They're kind of teetering on that edge, on that line, but they don't exactly cross it. You know, this types of people, this is that type of person who it's easy for me to see that he might be coming from a place where he doesn't think the American flag is a homophobic flag, which is what I'm saying Nexus Mods insinuated here by doing this, the way they did, the way they went all in, and now we know why they went all in, because they felt as though this alt account was a troll account, it was a cowardly account in their words. But he also goes into this sort of religious spiel, and I want to stress this. You can be for LGBTQ plus people and be religious at the same time. You can be a Christian and be for gay lesbian rights. The reason why is because I am one of those types of people who believe that the religious right are not factually accurate about what the Bible actually says. And there are cross-references, and there are things that are taken out of context, or things that are taken too much at face value. And there are cross-references to say, hey, don't take it at face value, read between the lines, and you'll see what they really mean. And I could go about that all day. I'm not really going to, because that might be a subject for another video. Keep this in mind that there are Christians out there who do not think that the Bible condemns that sort of sexual orientation. And you cannot put everybody into one box and say, hey, if you're a Christian, you had to be homophobic. That is not the case. And I implore people who do think that to please think twice about that, because that's where we get into so much trouble, is to put everybody into one box and believe that just because they believe in Christianity, they are homophobic, or they believe that the Bible condemns it. And I'm not one of those people who think that it condemns it. However, some people do think that, and that makes me think that this was teetering on the edge. I don't know. I don't want to judge a person based upon that alone. I would like to have more concrete evidence in that. But they did say that the United States flag is not homophobic, and that I do agree with. We do need to be under one banner, and we do need to punch up. We do need to do that sort of thing to where we can go after corporations, the establishment, both in the corporate sphere of gaming and in the media, where the higher ups in the media echelon don't let any of the smaller people, like some YouTubers, because they're scared of YouTubers, to get up there to essentially not have to answer to any of these big corporate AAA game companies. And that's why I harp on Jim Stephanie Sterling a lot, because they seem as though they're now a part of that higher echelon, and they will not criticize people like Otaku, people like Polycon when they get it wrong. You see, they don't ever do that. And I will continue to criticize Jim Stephanie Sterling. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the juicy part of this. This is why I have a problem with this particular blog post. And this is why I have to call out places like IGN and PC Gamer, because they did not address this rumor. Now, keep in mind, this is purely speculation, although there's more and more people who are starting to say this. Now, I'm going to read you a few things from a particular Twitter account named NextSplitter. I'm not going to read the handle he uses. You can see it on the screen. I'm not going to repeat it. And if you can read it, you can understand why I'm not going to repeat it. And one of the other things I have a problem with is they're using that whole thing that Twitter lets you do now, where only certain people that they follow can reply to it. And I think that's really weird. Twitter does weird stuff. I wish it would get rid of the third-party block list importing. But that's another subject for another video. Here's where it gets interesting. According to NextSplitter, he says LMAO, apparently that remove pride flags mod in Spider-Man Remastered is just something that activates the textures used in the Arabic Middle Eastern localization. That's important. Meaning the mod author just used textures that Insomniac made themselves that in the game already. I will admit I am not a programmer or mod expert, but various people that are mentioned that Spider-Man Remastered on PC is in an early state of modding where it's pretty much only textures only at this point. And someone dug up a small news article about Arabic localization. I would like to see that. Quite frankly, because I've did some research on this, and in fact, what he's saying, at least about the Middle East and their viewpoint on pride communities, is not very high. Let's put it that way. And NextSplitter goes on. Generally speaking, when a company localizes something in a language, they work to make sure they don't either break the law or cause massive offense in the countries with the language. Localizing it for several countries where homosexual propaganda, unquotes, and being gay is illegal means no pride flags, and is the same reason for all those Disney films 0.1 second long same-sex kisses or short dialogue only references to being gay. Not hard to figure that's what happened. And please forgive me as the wording on this is a little bit off. I don't even think most of Insomniac would have been cool with this, but Sony likes money, and Spider-Man is also a globally popular intellectual property, so you know. What's also funny is apparently the mod author also made a mod that turned all the flags to the pride flag, LMAO. And then they go to their personal opinions about this, and I'm not going to go into detail about that. You get the point. Here's the issue with this, if it's true, and I'm trying to find the article where they specify. I would love for them to link that article so we could get some confirmation on this. And there might be a reason why maybe Nexus needs to do more responding of this. Because the last two paragraphs said that they won't argue and won't provide a platform to distort their position, to feed an irrational and paranoid narrative. What type of narrative do they think is going to come out of this? If we believe this whole thing that all it did was change the localization, there's a couple things here. First, I'm not an expert on whether or not you would need a VPN in order to do something like this, to make the game be fooled into thinking you're playing from another country, and it would use the localization features in that country. If he were to use that VPN in order to get the mod to make it think that he was playing in an Arabic country, and it then changed the textures in order to coincide with that, then how would they know that he was using the troll account in the first place? Now, I doubt that's the case, and I'm not a very big expert on whether or not you need to have a VPN in order to do this, or need a VPN in order to use them on in the first place. There was no real indication that you had to do it, but there's no real indication that he was using a VPN at all, or that he was using a way in order to mask his IP address to where they had to do some more investigating into where this guy was coming from, or if he had another account somewhere. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, did ModsDB and especially Nexus Mods get this order from Insomniac? That's my suspicion. That's my bit of conspiracy here. Because if this is the case, that Insomniac pulled the trigger and say, hey, get this off of your platform, why did they do this? Was it because they generally did feel as though it was homophobic, or whether or not they believe that the United States right now doesn't really cater that well to pride communities? Or did they not want anybody knowing that they were going to localize it for Arabic countries in this way? And maybe that's why this guy created the troll account, in their words, or the sock puppet account. Maybe not because he was being the coward, because he wanted to expose a few things. Maybe he knew that it wasn't going to be that difficult in order to change things, because it was already hard-coded into the game, and all they had to do was maybe uncomment a few lines of code in order to make it work. If that's the case, then Insomniac themselves did this, not the modder. The modder just unlocked it. That's why I think Insomniac needs to respond to this rumor. And that's why I'm trying to single boost this rumor, because this more goes into Insomniac lying about this situation. And we know already how some people feel about the localization that goes on right in the moment with movies in China and stuff like that, where you have to play by their rules, and they're not exactly easy to ignore. If you try to not put something down in China, you're going to lose a whole lot of money. So they kind of have to do it. They kind of have to play by their rules, or else you lose half your market share. And that's been well documented in several places. I'm just the next person to say something about that. And Insomniac probably knows, and Sony probably knows, hey, this is something that's not going to go over well with us in PR, because we know how people already feel about this sort of thing taking place, that we have to censor certain things for other countries, and we're playing by their rules, and we're kind of quote-unquote selling out, although that's kind of like gray area there, because you kind of have to for their countries, because again, that's half their market, that's half of their revenue right there. But if that's the case, and they're trying to hide the fact that they did this, then what does that mean for anybody else who is trying to do actual journalism? What if somebody that was an actual journalist or an actual person that was trying to find out whether or not this was true go to Insomniac, and Insomniac say, hey, you're not allowed here, we're going to blacklist you? That is not responsible on the part of Insomniac. And these outlets did not go into this rumor. And to be fair, it is a rumor, it is speculatory. I don't know if that's the reason why they didn't want to address it or bring it up, because then they would have the answer if it turns out to be untrue. And they have all these lawyers, and they have all this overhang and stuff like that. That's why I'm saying right now, I'm trying to do a CYA saying this might be just a rumor. But it's a rumor that if it's true, Insomniac has a lot of answer for here. Because not only did they do all of this, something that's probably going to be unpopular, but then they went and tried to hide the fact that it was there in the first place. What did this mod reveal? Even if it was just a troll account, there was better ways to go about it than outright banning the person. They could have done what they said they would have done. Why couldn't you have done that? What made the quote-unquote troll account, in their words, what made the difference there? Because maybe people make other accounts for different reasons. Maybe that's not the reason why he made it. Who knows why he made it? They're making the assumption here. And what evidence do they have to say that it was a troll account, a sock puppet account, to be a coward? What evidence do they have? That's why I think the idea that they're saying that they're not going to argue this and they're not going to comment on this anymore and they're not going to read anything is a little bit suspect when you take into account this rumor that's going around. If I was Insomniac or if I was Nexus Mods, I would try to kill this rumor right now. Because if this is the case and this spreads, and then we have the proof that says there was something to this, there was something to this rumor, then there's a lot more questions Insomniac needs to answer. More or less, what would happen if someone did some actual investigative work? We already know what happened with things like Activision Blizzard, or things like Ubisoft, or other places who had more egregious accusations levied against them. And you saw how gamers reacted to the Activision Blizzard stuff. The Ubisoft stuff, I do not know, because there was a lot of stuff that's going around that's saying maybe they took care of it. But at least with the Activision Blizzard stuff, holy crap, they decided to punish them, and that was gamers standing up and doing the right thing, although the media will never give them any credit for what they did there. They will not give Asmongold any credit. They will not give anybody any kind of credit whatsoever. Even Jim Stephanie Sterling will not give them any kind of credit for it. But Jim will definitely blame them for the Ubisoft stuff, which they don't really know one way or the other whether or not they fixed the issues at Ubisoft. But what would happen if Insomniac got into the same trouble and someone tried to do some investigative work on them? What would be the end result of that? That's why this kind of stuff could be a slippery slope, and they have to answer this. And yes, this could be just speculatory. I'm saying this might be until we get some proof, but this is coming up more and more right now. I would love to Insomniac to say something about this, because that rumor, coupled with the way Nexus Mods described what they're going to do from here on in, which is to not really respond at all to any other, I'm going to paraphrase, conspiracy theories that come out about this whole thing. And they're saying if the policy upsets you or they broke some moral code of conduct as a business that they can't accept, then please delete your account. What about the moral code of conduct of being honest with your users and the people who are trying to cover this story? Because now the story just become a whole lot more interesting. And oh, by the way, they locked the comments on this whole blog post. Something in this now doesn't seem right. Not necessarily of the mod in of itself. We've already talked about the mod in of itself, but the response to it now seems a little suspect, because I want to know if this rumor is true, and if so, is Nexus Mods trying to do this on the behest of Insomniac to hide they even had this code in the game in the first place when they know how people would have reacted if they did that? Seems a little sus right now. And again, I may be reading too much into this, but the way that this whole thing is starting to shape up, there's something more to this story. And the way that IGN and PC Gamer are both never even touching upon this whole rumor that's going around and just being a parrot for Nexus Mods and their blog, I have to think that they're doing a disservice by not addressing this. That's why I'm addressing it. I'm trying to get it to where Insomniac might want to have to respond to it. I hope other people do the same thing. Because in my mind, this is no longer about whether or not a mod was deplorable or not. This has to do more with whether or not we have a right to know whether or not a company does something like this and then tries to hide it by using a smokescreen like this. And if mods are able to uncover certain things that make us a little sus about a certain company and what they're doing. And using Nexus Mods' words, going for everyone no matter where they stand, left, right, up, or down. Still can't believe they worded it like that. That's going to do it for this edition of the Special Report. As always, thank you for watching. If you like what you heard, please hit that like button. Hit subscribe for more geek gaming culture and ring the bell to be notified about latest videos. Especially this one, because I do believe that it does need to be addressed a little bit more than before, because there might be some ethical issues that need to be addressed on this now that we have that rumor that's going around. Now, let's get to the OCRemix track of the day. And there is something by Akidna, A-K-I-D-N-A. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. This is a remix of the Chun-Li stage from Street Fighter II, the World Warrior, the first Street Fighter II, not Super or whatever, called Lady Dragon. And Chun-Li is probably one of my mains that I play on Street Fighter. I kind of suck at the game, but I still like to play it. Anyway, please be sure to give them some love at OCRemix.org and tell them I sent ya. Till next time, this is the Geek Gaming Culture channel, and that just happened.